Okay, so in this example, we are going to be looking at finding the mean using mid-interval values on a grouped frequency table. So the difference between this and any of the examples we would have done before is the fact that we have a range or a group in each of the slots. So for the pulse rate for 60 to 70, there's a range there of 60 to 70, and we have a frequency of 5 people within that range. And so on for the rest of them. So there's 3 steps to doing this. First thing we need to do is find the mid-interval values. So all I've done here is just repeated the table. And to find the mid-interval values, we find the halfway point between the bottom of our range and the top of our range. So if we look at that first box of the table, it's 60 and 70. So the mid-interval value will be the average of that. So the average of 60 and 70. So we would go 60 plus 70 and divide that by 2, which should give us 65. And the same for the rest of the way along. So it would be 70 plus 80 divided by 2, which would give us 75, 85, 95, 105, and 115. Okay, so once we have the mid-interval values from that, we can then use our mean formula. Now, the mean formula for using a mid-interval value is slightly different. So we have the sum of the frequency of x divided by the sum of the frequencies. So this curly E is the sum of the frequency, which is our second row that we've got. So the 5, 8, 22, 29, 13, and 5. So that's how many people have that pulse rate. And then our x in this case is going to be our mid-interval values. Okay. Then on the bottom, it's then divided by the sum of the frequencies. Okay, so the sum of the frequencies. So this is going to be the total of 5, 8, 22, 29, 13, and 5. The frequencies. Okay, so now what we need to do is fill in our values to our formula. So for us, we could do a table to find the sum of the frequencies and their mid-interval values, but I find it a little bit easier to write them out so we make sure that we don't forget any of them. So to do that, we're going to have the mid-interval value multiplied by its frequency. So that would be 65 by 5 for that first column of our table. For the second column then, it's going to be plus, because we're dealing with the sum, so that's addition, 75 times our frequency for that interval, which is 8, plus 85 by 22, plus 95 by 29. So I'm using the mid-interval values all the time, and then their frequencies that it's related to, plus 105 times 13, and lastly, plus 115 times 5. Okay. Now, this is all divided by the sum of the frequencies. So sum, we're dealing with addition again, so we're going to add up all of our frequencies. So we're going to have 5 plus 8 plus 22 plus 29 plus 13 and then plus 5. So now what we need to do is tidy this all up. So what we're going to end up with on our bottom, when we add up all our frequencies, is going to be our 82. So that's the sum of the frequencies, which matches what our formula says, the sum of the frequencies in the bottom. And then on the top, when we multiply 65 by 5 and 75 by 8 and so on, and add them all together, we're going to end up with 3,745 on the top. So that is the sum of the frequencies multiplied by their mid-interval values. Now once we've got that, we're going to divide them as we would normally, and we're going to get an answer of 91.34, which is our mean for our pulse rate for our mid-interval values in that grouped frequency table. So that is our mean pulse rate.